morning and welcome to United Black Association for Development Educational Foundation UEF and Belize Federation of Fishers BFF sixth Belize Blue Bond Zoom Community Awareness Reasoning. I know the Blue Bond gets signed 2021, November, but the reason why we saw the need for still have these conversations is because knowledge is power when you could use it in your own interest. Don't worry, the star of the show that they are today, the Fishers. We have Nestor Lopez from Long Key, and then we have Hopeton Westby Jr. from Turnef. So no worry, the stars and the I know. Get me here about the stars and how sargasm they impact the fishing industry. But first, we want to take the first 15 minutes for just quickly. We have here representing BFF, we have the Executive Director, Nigel Martinez, and we have Brother George Mivett. Start off with George. Morning, George. Morning, Nigel. Morning, Nestor. Morning, Hopeton. I hope all on you a good bye.
Morning. Good morning.
That's what I about. George, what are two important things for Belizeans know about the structure of the Blue Bond?
Good morning. Pleasant good morning to everyone. The two important things that people need to know about the Blue Bond is that, one, a part of the arrangement for the Blue Bond, which is essentially a loan agreement between the government of Belize and TNC, the Nature Conservancy, is that ocean space would have been set aside as a part of the arrangement. What has happened in terms of that arrangement is that there has been no consultation with anybody. The only people that were at the table were the TNC and the Blue Bond insurance and financiers and the government of Belize. The stakeholders were in no way, shape, or form invited to that forum. That's the first thing that we need to keep in mind. The other aspect of the Blue Bond that people should keep in mind is that the government of Belize has a target of setting aside at least 30% of the ocean space. The problem that we have with that is that a fair amount of the ocean space that is being set aside also is not void. It is not accompanied by any conversation with fishers. Essentially, what you have happening now is that a fair amount of the primary fishing grounds that are available to fishers are now being annexed as a part of the Blue Bond arrangement. The issue with that is that depth for nature swap in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. It becomes problematic when there is no measurable benefits accruing to the primary stakeholders who are, in this case, as far as we are concerned, the fishers. The Blue Bond aspect of it does not speak to livelihood. It speaks to the financial arrangement as it relates to servicing debt. It does not speak to social capital, i.e. human beings, and it does not speak to the impact. It does not speak to the impacts of what would happen in relation to the impacts to fishers, no? So we want to keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, I want to say that when you look at what has been discussed, it discusses MPS, it talks about coral reef, and it talks about, in general, protected species, but it does not speak about the most endangered species, which is human beings. Remember, the Blue Bond, although it has not mentioned it, it infers, or it should infer, that there should be livelihood considerations, but that is not being attended, and that needs to be fixed. Because when you marginalize fishers, when you look at the arithmetic of it, depending on who you speak to, when it's over 4,000 fishers. And when you look at the value chain, 4,000 fishers equal 20,000 Belizeans that are dependent on fishing
Eh,
and that derive their livelihood from fishing activities.
Thanks, George. UEF last year hosted two European, one a professor, one a PhD student, Tommaso Ferrando and Orange Onat Kilik. Now, they on the ground because Orange research focused on the legal construction of blue bonds from a critical perspective. So the information where we the share has been thoroughly researched. They're on the ground for a month, talk to fishers, talk to TNC representative, government representatives, civil society, BFF, thorough. And so that's why we could have their levels of conversation. Now, George, if Belize not meet one and a conservation goal, what will happen? Or Nigel, whoever could answer it. Because remember that death for nature. So if we not meet one and a goal, what are the penalty?
Well, there's a major penalty. There's 125 million US dollar penalty. And we have to go back to the drawing board to understand why it is that we had to quickly do this debt for nature swap. It's because we could not meet our debts. We have a tendency of not paying back for what we owe. So there's these clause in there that in the event we miss one milestone, that's 1.25 million US dollars. And if we continue to miss milestone, there's an additional 250,000 US dollars per milestone that is being missed. So the government have bind us in a critical position whereby we have to meet these milestone because we would not be in the position to come up with these money to pay these penalties. And that's the reason why it brings me back to this 30% and why this 30% is very crucial for our fisher folks and the nation to understand. When we talk about the 30% in the Blue Bond arrangement, it talks about 15% being high biodiversity, which means no take. And then there's another 15% medium biodiversity, which means multi-use. Now, this need to achieve by 2026. This 30% has to be signed into law, or else we're going to miss that milestone. And then there's going to be that penalty clause that kick in. Why is this important, sis and the viewers? This is important because the government of Belize just came back from France and they issued a press release. And in that press release, the government is saying that they're raising the bar. They're stating now that they are going to put an additional 12% of Belize water under full protection. Now, there's no clarification, and I am putting this information out there, and people can form their own conclusion as to what does that mean. They already have 30%, 15 of which is highly protected, and now they are saying now that they are raising the bar for an additional 12% for full protection, and that is very critical for us to get an overstand as to what the government is trying to imply here. The second point that I want to bring across is that they are now saying in this press release that we have already achieved approximately 25% as marine protected area. Now the government is saying that they are raising the bar. They are now going to move that to 32% as marine protected area by 2026, that is next year. So this is very critical, because while we are saying that the space have already shrink significantly, now the government went to France along with his team, raised the bar significantly without giving us any notification, any justification, any consultation as per the norm. But who is this really benefiting? That is the major question. And the answer that we came up with is the conservation community. Why am I saying that? When you look at the Blue Bond arrangement, the current structure of the Blue Bond arrangement, 84 million US dollars over 20 years, and then they got an additional 23.5 million US dollars in an endowment that will grow to $92 million by 2041. So that result in total 176 million US dollars, which equals to 352 million Belize dollars for the conservation community. Now, based on the press release, and people can find this press release, it was dated June 17th, 2025. Now, based on this press release, the government and its technical team presented the PFP. Now, people might not be aware what is the PFP. So I'll just quickly give an overview. The PFP is what Belize reference as the Project Finance for Permanence. It's a project that is a finance mechanism designed to secure long-term funding for marine protected area, biodiversity, and coastal communities. Now, in this PFP, my last workshop that I had attended, the cost to set up this PFD is around 221 million US dollars. Of that 221 million dollars, sis, the estimate so far for marine protected areas is 156 million US dollars. That's 71% of the total cost.
Nigel, you only got 3 minutes and we're half a stretch talking for that, but continue.
Yeah, so what we want to do in the next segment, we want to focus on this PFP, because this is another avenue that will secure significant funding for conservation. And again, just a small percentage is being allocated for livelihood for fisher folks.
1 second for everybody on the Zoom. If you're not speaking, please mute your mic because we're getting feedback. Thanks. You're finished, Niger. We got another 2 minutes.
Yeah, so it's very crucial that we understand this. So what I am going to propose to the executive of the Federation is that we are going to write a correspondence to WWF, because WWF was the one that posted this post before WWF post went out on June 13th. That's the ending of the arrangement that they made at this ocean conference. So we're going to pose a correspondent to them for them to explain to us what it is that they mean by this additional 12% and 32% in marine protected area by 2026.
Good, Nige. Good. All right. We're going, I'm so excited. I want to get to the fishers, but big thanks, George Mivett, the technical advisor for Belize Federation of Fishers, and brother Nigel Martinez, the executive director of Belize Federation of Fishers. More people join. Sister Fishers are here. Yes. This is so exciting. Okay, we get right to it. The first person, if you're not on the mic, please mute your mic so we don't get feedback. So we have two fishers. Nigel, go ahead and introduce our fishers.
Okay, So we have that will be doing the presentation this morning. We have Nestor Lopez. Nestor is I think he's a third generation fisher from out of Corozal Town. And he has a camp located right outside of Belize City, a part of the Long Key area. So he's going to be talking about the impact of sargassum within his respective area and his zone. And then we also have, I think, either a third or a second generation fisher, which is Hopeton Westby Jr. I know him very well. I know his dad very well. These are excellent fishers. He's going to be talking about what has been taking place out of the Turnef Atoll in respect to his area where his camp is located and along the coast of Turnef, as well as the reef, what has been taking place on the reef. And I have sent you these videos and pictures, sis. So while these guys are talking, we can pull it up so that the general public can understand what it is that these guys are saying that is impacting their livelihood significantly out there. And there's no one that is helping these fishers because of these climate issues that are taking place within these respective areas.
Nestor, to make that for you.
Hello, good morning.
Brother, what day?
I am at home right now, Corozal.
Corozal in the house.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I send over the images then when Nigel may send so when I show the images then I said to share with me.
All right. So the problem we got there at Long Key, especially that my experience is that I have seen the sargassum killing a lot of fish, a lot of lobster, a lot of crabs. There's like, I could say 100 of sargassum feet from the shore, from the mangroves way up to the sea. I have seen thousands and thousands of, I could say 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds of sardines, sprats that are dead, decomposing fish, lot kind of fish, and it's a bad odor there. So that's affecting our livelihood in a way that it's killing everything that is growing in the mangrove, right? So
when you start to notice this?
Well, I've seen like an increasement of that since like 5 years now. Because in my experience, I have never seen so much sargassum, that amount of sargassum. I always seen a little bit, maybe grass, the jellyfish and things like that, but never that kind of amount of sargassum.
Okay.
Now it's becoming a big problem here.
Explain to me exactly, before it start to increase, how you may navigate or move around it so that it had minimum impact on your practice as a fisher. And then over a period of time, how it get more challenging and how that impact you as a fisher.
Well, I have seen an increase in the way of moving, like how you say, it's like how I see an increase of that sargassum, I have seen a decrease, especially in the lobster. In the sprat, even if one go fishing out there, so we can get sprat. No, it's a limited sprat that comes to the mangrove than before, because that when that comes, it kills. I could say tons of that, tons of fish. It's only a thing that I'm saying that maybe next time I'll get a camera and then I will video everything. But it's different that you could see it than to be there to see the bad odor of the thousand of fish dead there. It's a really disaster there with that sargassum.
And other fishers said the same thing to you, because the images were you showed Lanky. So this happened at other fishing spots as well, no?
Yes, that's from everywhere. That even that sargassum even stays in the reef. So that thing is killing the corals.
So what the for uno solution to it? Uno come up with one solution. Uno have somebody like uno go to Belize Federation of Fisheries and report it, and Belize Federation of Fisheries try come up with one solution, because we may just shock Belizeans at large. The only thing we know about sargassum, well, Belize, the National Meteorological Service of Belize put out one sargassum report now. And then we hear, impact people where want go swim, or it impact tourists. But we never hear sargassum impact fishers and on a livelihood. So that made a big shock one couple of weeks ago upon WB when we find that out. And that's why I'm like, bring their fishers, make them talk for themselves. So how is it that, like, how long does that happen? What, a year, 2, you said 5 years? How they never said nothing publicly before? How come we never hear this?
Because, like how they said, they never take no part, the fisherman. That's you could say that this is impacting the tourism place. That's where they come out in the news, because the voice of the fishers have never been heard. Even we say so, we don't got no kind of help. It's the same thing as this weather's coming right now with the hurricane. So you always hear Nemo, you hear this and that in the cities, but you never hear so much what's happening outside, because it's not only me, it's a lot of houses there, fishers in that skis that have to be monitored. Not everybody comes out, right? And the same thing with the sargassum here. It's like a kind of storm that's affecting the livelihood of the fishers. Not only the tourism, that the fishers too, because that the mangroves is the place where the small fishes and the lobster and everything grows and lays eggs. I have seen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have seen a decrease of the sargassum.
One third generation fisher, how your pa and grandpa say then does resolve issues like this? What then does do when they had serious issues with impact? And when you say a livelihood, it mean you're to catch less, so that means you're to make less money, and then the costs of living to go up. So you have less money, but you have to find the money for fix your boat, for get your fuel, for get your groceries, for pay people who work with you. Plus you got all your living expense, your utilities, your partner, if you have one, your children. How the people then before you does address one serious issue like this in the fishing industry? How then does address it?
Well, my family used to say that he never seen that kind of sargassum that much. It was always less sargassum. And it affects, in a way, we can say we have a lot of decrease in the lobster, no, and our fish or whatever. But it looks like for we can see the results, like how we used to set traps and work with the moon and with the current. Now it's totally different. So we can get that kind of money and afford the expenses that we have and the expense we have living at our homes, our families. It's having a decrease. I could say it could be a decrease.
How you feel as a fisher when consistently nobody not really listen to you? Like, I never hear fishers that go on strike. I never hear fish. I know, like, what on willing for doing on own defense, because I hear you that people not hear on, but things they get more dread. So uno talk as fishers, like what uno could do for make uno get a respect one need. Like uno could say, watch out, I know that Easter they come, but only Thursday, nobody going to see. No fish no and there for this Easter. Don't say we play it, you know. Like I just say like you know have to guess, because the whole land of the holla like in the wilderness, so out of water, nobody know the story, you know. So I want to know like what fishers uno talk about that, like what uno willing for do, uno just want to be quiet and just drop out of fishing industry, like what uno not willing for do?
Well, we are trying to get organized, because one time I spoke with Andrew Perez at Sarteneja, And he told me that once we get organized and once we get united, so we will get one place with him to speak about our problems. So right now I could say that we are getting organized so we could be heard, because if we have to do our association and get our members to go there and represent the features, so that's our plan right now. We are staying strong, and I think we're gonna do it.
Very good, very good. I just wanted to know that people are excited for Sooner as Fishers and for hear from you. Very good, Brother Nestor. Okay, Nige, introduce Brother Hopeton now.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we have Hopeton Westby. I think Hopeton is either second or third generation fisher. He fish out at Turnef, and he has many struggles out there as well, and he's going to share some of his experience.
Welcome, Brother Hopeton. You there at Turnef now?
No, I couldn't make it out because of the rains.
I hear you. Well, he went long shore. Tell me how long you the fish?
Well, I fish all my life, but basically about 30 years now fully after school. But this sargassum really put a lick on everybody out at Turnef and other places too. They kill out the mangroves, they kill the mangrove actually. And that weapon all the juveniles then go, like Brother Nestor said. Out on the reef, all the corals the dead, conchs the dead, the eels, the octopus, everything you could think about, they die out there that Turnef. And no one they look into it. Sometimes I go up on the reef and I go and throw off small fishes so I could throw off to try help them survive. And one time I'm gone at UBAD gonna tell some students, come give me a lead hand. And they tell me where they come, nobody come, they gonna look for dolphin. They never did come bother me and help me, and I throw at least 300-400 fish off of the reef that day. But eels were afraid for the dash off of the coral reef. But the sargassum is so thick and so high, and I'm gonna try to save them. But out there, it increase every year. We never used to have sargassum like this for the last some years. It really increased, and it get worse, and it kill more and more stuff out there. My lab study go down dramatically because of that.
Oh, I don't know I don't know if George could tell you. I don't know where sargassum come from. And please don't go tell about no climate change. I so sick and tired of everything that climate change. But you gotta hear what human beings they do for contribute to. How come so much sargassum they come now? And then how long the sargassum stay? And then what you for do while the sargassum there as a fisher? How long you they have the sargassum issue, Brother Hopeton?
Well, way back in the days, only when cold fronts, we used to get a little bit of sargassum. I mean, a little bit. But now this the all year round for the last like 5-6 years or more. Like about 6 years, it start come thick and all year round. Only time
how long you stay?
Huh?
When it come, how long you stay?
Well, it stay along the mangroves until it die and ferment and just stink up the place as usual.
But how long that could take? 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month?
Well, it build up on top of one another, so it just continue for the whole year. It build right up and continuously rot and just build up and the rot and they just dead. That's why they kill the mangroves, it kill everything.
Wait. I don't really get a sense of this. So you got your water, you got your mangrove. Here comes sargassum. He come lay down up next to the mangrove and the water. I just stay there, and then more sargassum come. I lay down on top of that one there. And so for the whole year, you say Hopeton that you have sargassum in the mangrove or in the water for the entire year.
Yeah, almost the whole year. And because some of the places don't have channels for you pass through. Some places have channels where you just gather and then the current push it through and it go to other places. Inside the lagoon, you go pass through the lagoon, you go to Lankika, you have to pass Half Moon, Turnef. then it come to Lanky, and then the mainland in the rivers, the Belize, so along again. So the parts when you have no channels for it slip through, it just stay there and ferment and just continuously build up a few 100 feet out. The rotten sink, and then it build up again, and the rotten sink, and you don't gonna know it just stay right there and just damage the area. All the seagrass beds, some of it gone. A lot of the seagrass beds dead out. A lot of the mangroves dead out. The bad water by some of the channels where the corals then it kill the corals. Beautiful corals that are some big green slimy looking stuff now. That you couldn't call it corals, like some mess underwater.
Oh my gosh, you paint one good picture. Brother George, make it short. What that sargassum? Wake, I think now what kind of seaweed. How comes more the corner? And anybody find a solution, like any fishing community in the Caribbean or the Pacific find one solution for it yet?
The short answer to that is no. There are, I think it's a work in progress. People talk about using sargassum to manufacture plastics, using sargassum to make bricks, using sargassum for fertilizer, but it has not gone from the talking stage very much. And where it has gone from the talking stage, it's still in a kind of scientific experimental stage. One of the problems with sargassum usage in general, whether you are using it for landfill or agriculture, is that it is high in arsenic. If you have read any Agatha Christie books, one of the main feature of Agatha Christie book is somebody will get poisoned. And the poison of choice is arsenic. And so if you deal with this thing in a sustained way and in a long-term way, we have to find a way of taking out the poison out of it, taking out the arsenic, to de-arsenify the sargassum. That has to be a part of it. What I find a bit disturbing is that Caribbean people like talk. We are good at talking, including Belize. And you know that in terms of CARICOM, this is a macro-regional problem. I was looking at a feature on, I believe, Antigua it was. And if you think sargassum bad, that Belize, that Antigua, it's worse. It's miles and miles before you hit the open sea. Sargassum is really a brown algae. You see seaweed where we use as porridge? Sargassum is another brown algae. The problem with sargassum, it's a floating weed. If we go back to Columbus, and I know that Columbus is not one of your favorite peoples, Columbus got stilled in the Sea of Sargasso while he was coming across the Atlantic. The Sea of Sargasso is an area that is not much affected by current, so you could get stilled in there. The problem is that once you got warm water, and once you got sunlight, and once you have nutrients coming in, you will have sargassum going on. I believe that what the gentlemen are saying is absolutely right. I spent 27 years at Fisheries. I went in there in 1987. And I can recall that when we used to journey from base to San Pedro, the Keys, the Atolls, and we used to trail one line, And anybody who is trailing a line to catch a barrow or a jack will tell you that the line used to get full with seagrass. I catch nothing seagrass there for your line. What has been happening now is that seagrass is not a problem anymore. What is a problem is sargassum. And it's not only affecting commercial fishers in terms of the caves that is reaping on the habitat, it's also affecting the sport fishers who will be trailing a line and who will be casting. And so this is not only a national problem, it's a regional problem. And I don't understand why the heads of the talking heads in CARICOM, the heads of government and the various institutions, does not see this as a huge regional problem. Belize alone cannot solve this. Belize is a part of CARICOM, and it's also a part of Central American SICA, the Central American Integration System. And so this needs to be on top of the agenda but for some reason it is not. What I want to say is that two things. If you're out in the Eastern Caribbean, especially on the ocean side, Barbados, Antigua, on the ocean side of it, the Caribbean side and the ocean side, the deep water side of it, people used to look at sargassum as an asset because it's a nursery ground for a number of oceanic species. You know, out there they catch a lot of, just like how we eat snapper at Belize, out in the Eastern Caribbean they eat a lot of flying fish. And so it's a nursery ground for flying fish, it's a nursery ground for octopus, it's a nursery ground for crabs, etc., etc. The problem that we have is that when it hits land, it begins to accumulate and it begins to degrade. In relation to the issue of mangroves, in the Caribbean, there are three main species of mangroves. In the past, we used to call buttonwood mangrove, but it's no more considered a mangrove species. Long story short, when it hits the mangroves, it's not all the mangroves that die. The mangroves that end up dying most are the red mangroves. The black mangrove is a mangrove that has roots. It has vertical root systems that it could breed in what we call poor oxygen environment. Unfortunately, most of the mangrove that form a nursery function in the sea, those do not have any adaptation to deal with sargassum infestation, and so they die off. It's having a huge impact. It's having a huge impact in terms of the income of these fishers. It's having a huge impact in terms of the nation. It's food security you're talking about. It's having a huge impact in terms of export. We export lobster and conchs. And so this is an issue. If there was ever a time to put fisheries as number one, this would be the time to put fisheries as number one. And you know why I said that? Most of the people, when they talk about sargassum, and Nestor kind of pointed at it, it's sargassum in relation to tourism. The beach then clogged up. There's a smelly aspect of it. It's site pollution. You got something called site pollution too, you know. Not look good. And so what we are saying, well, remember, they always tell you that 1 out of 4 people get hired that are employed by the tourism industry. Well, 90% of the revenues that accrue from tourism find itself offshore Belize. That's like, in Conda, Belize. And so if you were to look at fishing as an industry where the money stayed at Belize, fishing, especially commercial fishing, should be numero uno. And so, as Nestor was saying, the minister has said, get organized. Well, actually, the fishers are already organized. There's the BFF, there's the cooperatives, there's the BFCA. And so I would want to challenge the minister on this forum to say that the BFF has proffered 2 documents to the minister. We have sent him a code of conduct to say, let us talk about the science. Where's the science of this? There's UB, there's Gillen, nobody's talking about the science of this. Fisheries Department partnered with the Summit Foundation, and you know what we were saying? We were saying that if we are to realize sustainable fisheries management, you need to bring science in. And you know what Fisheries Department and the Ministry of Blue Economy has done? They have said, you know what, Summit Foundation, thanks but no thanks. You keep your science to yourself, and we will do what we need to do. And you know what Fisheries Department and the Ministry of Blue Economy has been doing? They have not been dealing with the sargassum situation. They have not been dealing with this scenario. And so I am making an appeal to the government of Belize, not only the Ministry of Blue Economy, to the Prime Minister, to the government of Belize, to put sargassum, the management of sargassum, the effective management of sargassum, on the national agenda so that we regionalize the problem from a solution standpoint, and so that our fishers, the cries of our fishers, they are assaulted in many ways, and one of them is sargassum. I was told, actually I spend more time on Facebook than I should, that there's a skimmer that was acquired in San Pedro. Somebody said very, very recently that that skimmer is now sitting idle. I'm just saying this to say a skimmer cannot solve this. It's bigger than a skimmer. What you need is a national strategy that says we understand the scope of the problem. We will convene a working group, and that working group must include our fishers, and it must include our fishers organization. And we're saying to the Minister of Fisheries and Blue Economy, find the time to talk to your people, man.
All right, George.
You are not the ruler of fisheries. You are the Minister of Fisheries, which means that you have an obligation to sit down and listen to them.
Thanks, George. Right now it's 10:41, so I want to open the space. I know there are other fishers here. Other fishers, anything you want to say to represent yourself, the fishing industry, or sargassum, hold the mic. Now, I can't get dead air, so somebody talk with our fisher. Whatever you want to say, if you want to ask one question, pass one comment. This is your moment, fisher. Oh, the fishers, they're so quiet. Sister fishers!
I want to say the sargassum now a big problem, and we need the help from the bigger authorities like what Mr. Maivit said. We need to get together to as fishers and try to figure out what we could do. It's very hard because there are a lot of sargassum out there. It's real difficult for you to try to do something about that. One person at each at a time. You need a group. You need bigger. Probably you must need a ship to solve this problem. But we need to find what we for deal with this problem because it really out by me in Turnef. It really they affect me a lot, and I need help out there. We need help out there to do something about this because a lot of the juvenile fish, everything, they dead out, and we need to do something about this, and we need help. That's all I have to say.
Respect, and that's why, again, one of the reasons why UEF partner with BFF, because we, as far as we know, I'm the only group women to say the blue bond not good for Belizeans. And then in inviting Brother Nigel and Brother George as guests on Sunday Review, I was wow when I heard it. They said the same thing, so I said, good. Make a partner together, and we've been working together since then. So collaborations are important. Having people who are expert, because it's a want to live for generation, for owner faces and voices must be seen and heard. So give thanks to XTV for make we have the platform. You could go to Zoom, XTV Belize YouTube, XTV Belize Facebook for listen to this conversation at any time. Share the link. It is George made some recommendations, and this the one Caribbean region issue. This show will repeat at 5:30 this evening. Brother Nigel, got anything we want to add? We still have another like 17 minutes.
Well, what I wanted to say is that on the screen right now, we have several of the association leaders, and that is very important to know. We have the leader of the San Esteban Fishermen Association, Fidel Chavez. We have Mr. Pascal Che from the Libertad Fishermen Association. We have Densfield Augustine. He is representing the St. Bite Fishermen Association. We have Hopetoun Westby Jr., who was one of the presenter. He's the chairman of the Old Capital Fishermen Association here in the city, in our base. And then we also have Nestor Lopez, who is the chairman of the Fui Fishers Association, located there in Corozal Town. So we have key players at the table. And then, of course, we have one of our technical advisor, George Maivit. And it's very important to know that the BFF have several technical advisors that continue to inform us. We have partners like yourself, XTV. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on, sis, quickly, that the fact that the point that George made when he stated that we had proposed 2 documents to the ministry, and we proposed one of those documents called Call for Action on March of 2024. And in that document, number 8 of that document speaks to an establishment of an endowment fund for climate resilience for fisher folks. And the reason why we put that in there, sis, is because we have recognized our fisher folks have been plagued with natural disaster upon natural disaster, and there are money that are being raised, significant amount of money that are being raised and not set aside for these fisher folks when they are unable to go out and harvest. It's a food security issue, as was previously mentioned. We have recognized that, and we are saying to the minister in particular, come to the table. We need to have a discussion. We need to set aside some funds for these guys. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that are being set aside right now for conservation. And believe me, there aren't going to be any conservation out there if you do not address the livelihood and well-being of our fisher folks.
So Nigel, I tell you, we look good right now on the screen at 11 over there. I have to salute the fishers, especially in this rainy weather, for take the time out. And this is why I have to encourage fishers. Uno have to represent our own interests. People have to see uno, people have to know uno. Every chance uno get to talk with people for sharing a concern. And I respect to BFF organizing because we have representation from the north, from the east, from the south. Well, we might not have on the west got much water around the south, right? But that are the coastal areas, that the north, the east, and the south. The coastal, what part of coastal communities then they somebody else to come in right now, somebody when they Leo. So give thanks. We still have one another like 13 minutes. I don't know if there was anything George, Nigel, we want to say where we never get a chance to say what important. This is the 6th Belize Bluebond Zoom awareness reasoning online, and we're also centering fishers in Belize. The express how they struggle with sargassum, and then George broadened the scope to say that the whole region they go through this crisis.
Well, sis, with your permission, Adam, I want to call out. I want to call out my brother from the south, Mr. Augustine. I want to call out anybody who don't speak yet to give us their perspective on sargassum and anything else they want to talk about in the remaining minutes, no?
Somehow I know that you're going, you know, Mr. Judge. morning, people. You know,
Morning, brother.
Definitely like how was Mr. Westby, and I said, and my brother Father Rosal, sargassum no problem. Right now on the coast, I see that the whole Placentia Peninsula sargassum is there. The stench is off the hook. But like what Mr. Westby said, it has gotten worse because you actually get these huge amount of sargassum all the way out to the reef. You know, and also it does create a little problem with your engine to pick up sargassum. You know, that constantly happening will also mess up your the seal for your prop and stuff like that a long while. So you know, only the damage the reef, you know, only the kill out the marine life, it's also costing you when it comes to maintenance of the engine eventually. So and like I said, going out there were a huge amount they know, not like before where they'll find small spots of sargassum. Not it's like big masses spread out where you have to go through. sargassum. And sad that, you know, as fishermen, as our daily routine, we have to go through it. We don't burn with gas for out there. We have to find ways of fishing. We have to make back with money. But then sometimes you know pan out properly because then you can't move around too much. You can't make your fishing stock deplete. It's a huge problem. It's a very huge. And one of the things is, like Mr. Judge has mentioned, the solutions aren't forthcoming. We've been talking about this. We've been complaining about this. They are not forthcoming. And then, if anybody where usually consult, well, not consult, but people, but there's a lot of times entities come in and they want to know things about, get certain information. They find a way to get the information from the fishers to benefit them. You understand me? So make them come together and get a way get information from us when it comes to the sargassum, because we are the one where the face it out there. Who feels it knows it, that we live it. But like I said, this trend is growing, and like everybody agreed to, this trend is growing whereby the lives of fishermen don't matter. But yet when you need certain information, you find you run behind the fishers, but you know, they try and make it better for we. So organizing ourselves is a must. It's a priority. And we have to find a way. I mean, we are not the scientific minds, you know, but we definitely have one level of information to contribute towards any scientific study. And I want, you know, we would like them to utilize this and come proper and treat us as someone of value. Because right now we know the field of value. Just by putting food on the table, people still not value that, and that's one of your essentials in life. You have to eat. So the big thing we have to go into, we have to fight, and then you know what? We will fight. BFF, Nigel, Mr. Judge, you know, guys, thank you for spearhead these things. Thank you for come up and give the fishers one voice and enabling every fisher who is affiliated with you to get that courage, that strength, and know that they are not alone in the struggle. Creme Riedo, sister, you giving us the chance to voice our opinion means a lot. That are more than $1 million, because if we put ourselves in a position for fight and be heard, then we have a fighting chance to make their problem go away. Thank you guys for the forum. Thank you for having me this morning. And let's keep the fight going, brothers and sisters.
Big respect, brother. I tell people, at least I could have a clear path. I don't have to come through and talk. So we have 6 that every month we have their reasoning. So this is the evidence. And so we need as many fishers to show up for the next 6 meetings. I said the last meeting when the fishers show up, and this, like, the fishers make them their Zoom conversations, and we put that in our advertisement. Our priority and our focus, the fisher folk, and man and woman fish. And I never know the statistics where Brother George gave. We have, let's say, about 4,000 fishers. We're at about 20,000 Belizean people when you count the families where live off of their fishers, money what they make, whatever it is that they make. So, and then, like you say, brother, this our food security matter, because food is one cultural part of Belizean people's lives. So I really, and the beauty of it is that you have this link. So later on, when BFF send correspondence to the people in a power and influence, they have, at the end of this year, 12 links for sure. We're organized as fishers, where BFF organized as a representative of fishers, where BFF collaborate with UEF and international people, like the 2 researchers were coming last year. This matter, like last month, we had 2 this month, because we never have one in a May. And we had over 1,000 views, that big. People to share the link, people to listen, people to watch. So I don't want to ever feel discouraged or only the people want to save the people. We have another 6 minutes. If anybody want to ask any question, add anything, This on a chance. I don't know why none of my sister fisher know they say no. At least heal up and make we know some of the rest sisters. It's still silent. I can't have dead
Uh,
air.
I
Somebody
wanted
say
to ask
something?
Eugene, did Eugene speak? Eugene Santos? Brother Eugene?
No.
Hey, good
I
morning.
hear from Mr. Santos, man.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, brother.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Judge, I have one question for you. This sarcasm thing, it cannot be destroyed.
Um, yeah, it's yes, Mr. Santos. It's a serious issue. It's obviously climate driven. Sister Yaya, so I hear not more about but climate change, but I know you never mean that literally. It's once you have warm water and once you have nutrients input coming in, my understanding is that this the sargassum runs all the way from Brazil to Florida, the infestation. And there has been some speculation that Brazil is a huge agriculture country. And so a fair amount of the nutrient input that is fueling the sargassum problem is coming from Brazil. But that has not been confirmed by science. I think at this point it's just it's at the talking stage. I would never say never, Mr. Santos. I believe that what we need to do is we need to take a regional approach. And I don't want to make it sound too complicated. We need to take a regional approach because we need to bring the best minds, the best science. We need to bring the fishers in. We need to bring industry in because it's not that sargassum cannot be converted to fertilizer, but you need some industrial process that takes out that arsenic. It's not that it can't be compacted into bricks, but I think that you need the industry, you need the money people in there, the idea people who could say, you know what, I see an opportunity in sargassum. That has not happened yet. So I think there has to be a meeting of the minds of the politicians. There has to be a meeting of the minds of the industrial people. There has to be a meeting of the minds of the bankers. And this is why I think that Belize is in a privileged position to lead on this issue regionally, because we are a part of CARICOM. And I'll tell you that one of the areas that fishing is still very viable in the Caribbean is Belize. We have, and that is the reason why we have the seat of the Caribbean Fisheries Resource Mechanism in Belize. So Belize can lead on this. Right now, Belize has a seat for the SECA, the Central American Integration System. And so this is an opportunity. What I would suggest to BFF as the advisor is that we write once more to the Minister of Fisheries and the Prime Minister. Mr. Niger will tell you that we have written numerous correspondence, and you know how much answers we got? Zero. We will continue to do what we need to do. I believe that we need to broaden our response to the media. I want to personally thank Sister Yaya and the Creme Media Empire for being a partner with the BFF in that regard. No? Advocacy and education.
Respect. This has been a really meaningful reasoning this morning. Give thanks to all the Fisher, to the family members who are supporting to organizers such as Belize Federation of Fishers. This show will repeat at 5:30 on XTV. But the link for XTV Belize Facebook, XTV Belize YouTube, that's exactly where you go, you'll get a link. And you'll share it. And so I think we could go ahead and wrap off now. Nigel, have anything we want to say? Anybody got any 2 cents they want to share before we leave it at this last minute?
Well, sis, once again, enough respect. We look forward for the next episode. We will continue to do what we need to do as the federation, and that is educate, build capacity, and advocate. And we're going to continue to organize the remaining members of our federation into associations.
Thanks, Nigel. Just to kind of bait the people in, what we are talking about next time, I forget the acronym we will call, we will have to flesh out this bag of money.
It's PFP.
And what that mean?
Finance for Permanence. Hold on, make a look at it again, because you're always confused. Project Finance for Permanence.
And why should fishers care about that?
Well, they should be, because it's a mechanism for long-term financing. And right now, the project is Resilience Bold Belize. That's the name of our PFP, Resilience Bold Belize. And the last estimate for this PFP is 221 million US dollars. And out of that, 156 million is towards protected areas. That's 71% of that money. So we need to be informed about this, because we need to ensure that a significant portion of that money goes into an endowment for climate resilience that would benefit fisher folks across this country that encounters natural disasters.
Big respect, Brother Nigel, for the research we have done for broke it down so we could understand. Thanks, Brother George. Thanks all the fishers. We actually had 13 away on today. That are good numbers. You know, continue show up every month. Give thanks for the solidarity and the tenacity for continue feed way. And until next month, fishers, fisher families, Belizeans, only the people want to save the people.
Thanks, sis.